Hey everyone, Richard Phillips, finally back at you with some more modern action. I've been putting off putting up content until the Hogak deck got banned, but that doesn't appear to be happening. They banned part of it, and the deck is still just as good as it ever was. I'm assuming that on August, I believe it's like 26th or something like that, either Hogak will get the ban, or one of the other enablers in the deck, and hopefully weaken it to the point where it doesn't shape the entire metagame. During that time, I've been playing a variety of different things in Modern, to limited success, especially against Hogak. I've been coming back to Humans every so often just because of its good Hogak matchup. But today I finally have something that's interesting for all of you. It is Goblins. So this build is based very loosely off of Jim Davis's Pro Tour deck list. I've been following his builds of this deck for a while. The big thing that he does that's different than most other people is he goes really far on the Goblin War Chief, 4 of them, and does not play Warren Instigator. And I think this is correct. I don't think that Warren Instigator is particularly good in Modern. It's blocked super easily by pretty much everything, and just eats up removal. In general, removal is actually not very good against Goblins because of how many cards it draws, but it's very good specifically against that one card, which makes it really awkward. I guess to discuss a little bit some of the deck choices that are a little bit interesting, I'm playing a Mog Fanatic over a Tarfire. I just think that putting even just playing this card is better than a Tarfire. Dealing the extra damage isn't super relevant in a lot of different cases. The only one that it really is a problem against is Plague Engineer. It's one of the cards that we're looking to avoid. We really only have one clean answer to Plague Engineer, which is the one Goblin Crater Maker. Let's see, what else is interesting. One Knucklebone Witch, just as Jim Davis is playing. This is one of the few goblins that can get really big and actually profitably attack and block a Tarmogoyf or similar. And it's nice to be able to tutor it and also just play it and be able to gain advantage with your Skirk Prospectors and such. As is, the legacy way, the main way this deck kills you is Goblin Matron gains you card advantage, so does Ringleader, and then you Goblin War Chief, Pile Driver, attack the opponent when they're either tapped out or don't have removal. So you can kill something and then attack them with the Pile Driver. That's generally how it kills. The backup way to kill is with Sling Gang Lieutenant, which is one of the most powerful cards, in my opinion, in the whole deck. It's probably third. This is the best Aether Vial deck. So Aether Vial is probably number 1, then Matron, then Ringleader, then Expert, and then probably Sling Gang in that order are the most powerful cards in the deck. The sideboard is built a little bit differently than Jim Davis's version. We have a couple of Damping Spheres because Tron is getting really popular. We only have 2 Thought Seizes because I don't really like playing the Thought Seizes as much as Jim Davis does. We have 1 Warden Weirding, which is really awkward. It's not a particularly good card, but I like having an answer to something like a Plague Engineer or a big Tarmogoyf or a Thing in the Ice, etc. We got 2 Earwig Squads, which I really like against combo decks and control decks, 4 Ley Lines, and 1 Grafdigger's Cage to fight Hogak. There is a good chance that we can beat Hogak game 1 if they don't get down an early Hogak. We really can't beat a turn 2 Hogak, but we can block forever. So unless they get down the Hogak right away, we're actually set up pretty well. And we also have a Chain Whirler in the sideboard. I'm playing a Kranko main, mostly to fight humans. And decks with light removal, which it just seems like a lot of Modern right now has really light removal. And with that, we'll run a few matches with the deck, and we'll see how it performs. See you at the beginning of round 1. Alright, everyone, welcome to round number 1. We are on the play. This hand is fine. It's not great. And basically, any hand that doesn't have a Vial isn't going to be great, but it certainly has the ability to play a turn 2 War Chief and turn 3 Ringleader, which is nice. So if we're playing against an unfair deck, that's awesome. If we're playing against a fair deck, we can just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, which is also nice. I'm going to start off with the Auntie's Hovel. We don't want to show our opponent that we can have an uncounterable spell if they're playing control or something. Let's see what they are playing. Looks like Jund. No, they're playing Hardened Scales, it appears. Interesting. Okay, with a black splash. Well, it turns out the Goblin Crater Maker is really good in this matchup. So, I guess we'll do that. Play Goblin. Play this. And then we can sacrifice the Skirk Prospector to sacrifice the Goblin Crater Maker, which is nice. If we, need to for some reason. So next turn we could go War Chief, attack, and then the following turn we can do Ringleader plus maybe something else too, which is nice. Sure, Arcbound Workers, fine. See if the opponent wants to make a 1/1. Yeah, that's fine also. Another Auntie's Hobble Art. So we are drawing a few too many lands now, but hopefully this Ringleader will be able to turn some of this into, you know, a profit for us. So we'll play this, and I think we'll just go ahead and get in with everything. If they want to trade off one of these for a Skirk Prospector, we're fine. Or trade off the Welding Jar for it. Certainly want to put the screws to our opponent and make them do things. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. Another Welding Jar. Wow, alright. Well, this Goblin Crater Maker is certainly getting a little bit worse now, so it's good that we're just attacking with it. Another animation module, sure. Wow, is that it? That's all they have? Crazy. Alright, I guess if you're not blocking, you're attacking. Sounds good to me. Skirk Prospector. Alright. So I guess we'll just start off by casting a uncounterable Goblin Ringleader, and we'll see where we get with this. Perfect. Two cards here. We get a Sling Gang and a Munitions Expert. We'll choose Goblin with that one also, and we'll play this Skirk Prospector and then just get in at our opponent. We can still use the Goblin Crater Maker by sacrificing the Skirk Prospector. And I believe, yeah, our opponent's dead next turn unless they kill one or more of our things because we have the Sling Gang Lieutenant. So I think we're just going to kind of run over the black-green Hardened Scales deck, which is interesting. Sure, Anchorback Walker's fine. They can make a couple of 1/1s, but they're just dead. Sure. And sure, that's fine. Okay. Another War Chief. Alright, so we can go War Chief into Sling Gang, and then that in itself is just lethal. I don't think there's anything we have to play around here, but I'll still just go ahead and attack with everything except for the Sling Gang, and then we can just sacrifice anything that gets blocked. Well, we're certainly not going to... We'll wait until after damage, I guess, for those. But the opponent's just dead here. I'm not sure why they're trying to, you know, play this out. But okay. Even if they had... I don't know what they would have to have. Have to be some sort of convoke spell. Alright, so we will sacrifice that. Sacrifice... Oh, I guess that's the only one we have to sacrifice. Okay. Cool. So now they're at 3, and then we just sacrifice 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Alright, so in this matchup, I think that Leyline of the Void is certainly at least worth considering. Let's put him over here, I guess. Magic Online's fighting me a little bit today. Alright, Leyline of the Void's pretty good, and Goblin Trashmaster's pretty good, and Goblin Chain Whirler's pretty good. So these 7 are all pretty good. I don't think we want all the Leylines of the Void. Maybe 2 is fine, so maybe like these 5 cards can come in. I think we can trim a Skirk Prospector, because we're not really looking to do like crazy mana things. We can probably cut a Goblin Pile Driver. You generally can cut one of those in matchups where the opponent has a lot of creatures. The Kranko might be good because if the opponent plays the type of board where they're trying to just build up a bunch of blockers, we can go wide with a Kranko. On the draw, we can definitely try to cut a land. I don't know if we actually want to cut a Field of Ruin, though. Sometimes this is a little bit awkward. We can cut like an Auntie's Hovel because the deck's really reliant on Aether Vial. So there's really only like 3 cards that are particularly bad in the match. We can cut a Goblin War Chief because we're not looking to go too super fast. So that's 4 cards. So maybe just 1 more. If we're bringing in... No, I guess we're still going to have a pretty high creature count. So... maybe we can cut a Sling Gang. Just seems wrong, though. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll cut a Sling Gang. Bring those in. We're adding some 4s. We should probably cut a 4. This hand is really good, so we'll keep this. What's nice about this deck is that we can definitely also hardcast Leyline of the Void, so the fact that we have 2 Leylines in the deck doesn't necessarily mean the end of the world, especially against this kind of deck that the opponent's playing, where it doesn't really matter what's in their graveyard, it's preventing the modular that is really important. So if we do draw it, we cast it on like 3 or 4, that's fine. It'd usually be good enough to win. And this hand is pretty good. We can certainly use this Munitions Expert. The opponent has a lot of X1s. And Trash Master is excellent in the matchup. So we can maybe even kill something with the Munitions Expert and then kill something with it again by sacrificing it with the Trash Master. So that's cool. Another Field of Ruin. Interesting. Okay. So we'll start with the Aether Vial, and we'll pass the turn. And then I guess we can go Swamp for the next land, which will let us hard cast a Munitions Expert. Sure, like exactly that. So Steel Overseer. We'll see if they put the counter on it or not. If they don't put the counter on it like that, we get to kill it with the Munitions Expert, which is excellent. And I think we'll just go ahead and do that right now. Perfect. Okay, so the opponent does have an Arcbound Ravager here. They can graft onto it if they would like, which they are. Okay. So this is a great opportunity for us to try to kill this Arcbound Worker. So what we'll do here is we'll just Matron for another Munitions Expert and kill it while they don't have anything that they can modular onto. So we'll go ahead and get a Munitions Expert, and then we'll just activate this right away. Play the Expert, kill the Ravager, and then attack opponent for 1. Cool. And then next turn we can play War Chief, Trash Master, and attack, and then we can sacrifice things to kill artifacts. Sure, opponent Ancient Stirs. They will reveal... What card will they reveal? An Inkmoth Nexus. Well, we have a couple of Field of Ruins, so that's nice. Alright, they play that. And then they pass. Oh, we actually cannot cast a Goblin Trash Master this turn. That's interesting. Yeah, wow. All right, so what we can do, we have a couple things I guess we can do. We can play Matron, and so we can Violent War Chief, play Matron, and then our mana's a little awkward. So I think we want to actually start off with this. To get a mountain. Okay, and then the Field of Ruin. So then we can vial this in and get a... I don't know. Maybe we should have done that a little bit differently. I was going to get a Crater Maker for whatever our opponent plays next, and then only just get in for a few damage this turn, kind of set up for next turn. Sure, Walking Ballista for 2, that's fine. Alright, so we definitely want to tick this up to 4 and then probably just activate it right away. There's an Auntie's Hobble. Alright, so our opponent will have to respond to this 4 with the Walking Ballista, or they're not going to be able to kill 2 things. Alright, cool, so that just happens. We play this, targeting War Chief. Yeah, I guess we'll just go ahead with the ringleader. That's fine. Alright, so there's Prospector. So we can play the Prospector. I believe we can just kill our opponent here. I took like a very roundabout way of doing that, but yeah, we can kill our opponent here. Perfect. Alright, 1-0, and we'll move on to a second match. Alright, everyone, welcome to match number 2. We are on the draw. We're a little bit land light. We have multiple pile drivers and a war chief. This is definitely a borderline hand. I think I'm going to mulligan it. With the London mulligan, we have a little bit more space to keep, or to mulligan hands like this. And I think I'll keep this one and probably just put a Sling Gang on the bottom. Or a war chief. Or Skur. I think we'll just put... I don't know. I think we'll put Sling Gang on the bottom because it's certainly the most expensive. We will need a payoff card with this hand, but usually the deck has no trouble finding payoff cards. It has trouble finding action. And it turns out we're playing against Burn, and I kind of regret putting that on the bottom. War Chief is certainly worse in this matchup than that is. Okay, well, Aether Vial's nice. I guess we'll just choose Goblin and play the Aether Vial. Soulscar Mage. Alright, so it's mono red. Ooh, wow. Alright, so they're going to have a lot of attackers, but we are also going to have a lot of blockers, so that's nice. They only have 2 cards in hand, which is nice. We certainly want to draw that... Ooh, alright, another Mog War Marshal. Nice. Alright, so we will go ahead and shuffle the Sling Gang back into our deck here, and we will play a Goblin War Chief. And then we have our Skirk Prospector to Violin. And then next turn we can play a War Chief and another Mog War Marshal here. So that's nice. Opponent Reckless Charges. Sure, Reckless Charge is actually incredibly bad in the face of a Goblin War Marshal, so I'm fine with that. We'll just block that one. Unsure if I want to block 2 things or not here. We probably should. So yeah, we'll just block a couple things here. That's fine. Keep our life total high. This thing basically did nothing. It dealt 1 extra point of damage, which is, you know, certainly not too much. Alright. Another land. Alright, so we'll play the War Chief. They only have 1 card in hand, so I think we actually just want to go ahead and leave back the War Chief, and we can set up some nice blocks. If the opponent goes for everything, we can use the War Marshal to Violin in and maybe kill a couple of things, which will be nice. Alright, so 2 cards in hand. Sure, yeah, so flashing back the Reckless Charge on one of the creatures here is great, because we're going to be able to kill, I guess, the Soulscar Mage by double blocking and then throwing one of the War Marshal things in front of the other. So we'll play that. Make 1/1s, and then we'll throw this and this in front of that, and this in front of that. Oh wait, hold on, we want to change that. So we want to do this and this in front of that. So this way, the War Marshal's definitely going to die. Oh, maybe that's not... Maybe we should have left it up. Unsure. There's a chance we did the wrong thing there, but that's fine. Alright, we would really love a payoff card. I mean, War Chief's not a payoff card, but it certainly is something, so we'll put that into play. And can we race our opponent? So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, put our opponent to 12. Maybe we should leave 1 Goblin back, just because our opponent obviously has Reckless Charges in their deck. So that way if they do cast a Reckless Charge here, we won't just get blown out by it. I think I'll just take 2 damage, though. 2 damage is fine. Alright, so like I said, we're still looking for a payoff card here. Matron is a great payoff card. So we're going to be able to do 1, 2 for Goblin Matron. Yes, and then we get to get a Sling Gang, and then we put the Sling Gang into play. Yes. Make a couple of 1/1s, enter combat, attack. Yep, and our opponent's just dead. Cool. So we can do, what's that, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then sacrifice it. So we could do like, I don't know, like 19 damage that turn or something. All right. So in this matchup, what do I like? I guess we can't assume that our opponent's on Mono Red Phoenix. Sometimes if we know our opponent's on Mono Red Phoenix, we can bring in like a Grafdigger's Cage or like a Ley Line. They also have Lava Dart, which is a really good card against our deck, as you could probably guess with all the X1s. Goblin Chain Whirler just blocks really well, so there's actually a good chance that we want that card in our deck. But I don't know exactly how true that is. Pile Driver is not great, so we can cut that. Mog Fanatic is not great either. It doesn't really kill anything. And we can maybe keep or bring in a Grafdigger's Cage, so we can do something like this. Just like one Grafdigger's Cage to try to turn off some of their cards. Well, this is a Cage hand, so we get to do Cage, Marshal, Matron. Yeah, that sounds fine. It's not the fastest hand in the world, but it certainly will get us places, so that's nice. Alright, the opponent does not appear to have a 1-mana play. We drew an Aether Vial, which is pretty good. It almost looks like, though, that they're setting up for a Phoenix hand, so maybe there's a chance we should just play the Grafdigger's Cage here. Because I think we can beat a fair hand from the opponent, but we might not be able to beat a Phoenix hand from them. So I'm going to play the Grafdigger's Cage. Oh, we also have the Reckless Charge, so that's another good reason to do this. Reckless Charge is shut off by the Grafdigger's Cage. Vexing Devil. Should we take... Yeah, let's take 4 damage off that. That's fine. If they played a little bit later in the game, we probably would have said no, but I think this early in the game, we could. Alright, the opponent... Faithless Looting and Soulscar Mage. Interesting. Alright, so I think this turn, because the opponent isn't playing any hasty cards, I think we can just go Vial here. Cool. Opponent has 4 cards in hand, and they get to play Soulscar Mage and a Looting, so they'll still have 4 cards in hand probably at the end of this turn. Shattering Spree. Oh, they're just going to replicate it across the board. Okay, so they're not going to get to cast either of these cards. That's fine. Okay. So that's the thing that happens. All right, so now we can play Aether Vial plus Mog War Marshal here. So now if the opponent plays a Haster, we have a blocker for it. We could consider playing whatchamacallit, oh yeah, we'll just double block this for sure. I was going to say we could consider paying Echo, but now we're going to make our opponent waste a spell here. Sure. So opponent Lightning Bolts our face. They kill both of these things. We get one of them back. That's fine. Knucklebone Witch, that's nice. Alright, so we'll play this tapped, I guess, and go ahead and get this Matron out, and then we can get Sling Gang with the Matron, which will certainly at least slow down our opponent. We can also get Ringleader. Maybe I think we're in a spot where Ringleader's still better. I probably should have gotten in with that Goblin, but that's alright. If the opponent goes to kill one of our Goblins with the Grim Lavamancer, we can flash in the Knucklebone Witch. Yes, we'll go for a double block here. The opponent will activate the Grim Lavamancer on one of these things. We're just preserving our life total here. And then this Knucklebone Witch will be a 3/3, which is nice. Okay, so we are going to Vial in Knucklebone Witch. Sure. So all we're doing here basically is we're just making our opponent use spells in a way that don't kill us, because we'd certainly win the late game. Like, we're definitely the control deck in this matchup, and we're basically just throwing away value at the expense of, making sure that we don't just die. So Knucklebone Witch is now a 3/3, which is nice. If we can get it one larger, then it'll be out of bolt range. And right now it's blocking really well, so excited about that. Munitions Expert's a great draw. We will go ahead and play Goblin Ringleader. Wow, a couple more Munitions Experts. That's awesome. And then we'll Violin one of these to do it right now, to play around double removal spell from the opponent. Taking out a Grim Lavamancer. Nice. And we'll go ahead and attack. We can block with the Munitions Expert, which will just make Knucklebone Witch bigger. Yeah, might as well block. Like I said, we're just, trying to keep our life total as high as possible, and the power's just being transferred over here, and now it's out of bolt range, so it's going to be even harder for our opponent to kill it. I don't think we want to increase the Aether Vial, because we currently have the Munitions Expert, so we'll just say no on this one. And we'll cast another Ringleader. My mismatched Ringleaders. Opponent might concede to this Ringleader. There's a Sling Gang. Alright, cool. So we'll play this tapped, and we'll vial in a Munitions Expert here, because we currently have 4 cards, and if our opponent wants to remove any of these from the battlefield, the Knucklebone Witch will get bigger before combat. So that'll kill the creature here, and then we get to go in, and the opponent's probably dead next turn. Actually, they're most certainly dead next turn. So I think we've got this one wrapped up also. The opponent would have to have, like, Anger of the Gods here, and even that won't do very much because the Knucklebone Witch. Yep. Opponent would have to have, like, another Bolt here or something. That's interesting. The opponent obviously doesn't know if they're the beatdown or what in this matchup, because, that's certainly not a great play in my opinion, at least. So we'll go cast this, and then we'll sacrifice 1, yield, yes. Yeah, opponent concedes. Perfect. All right, 2-0. We'll move on to the next one. All right, everyone. Welcome to round number 3. We've won the die roll. On the play with an Aether Vial, this hand is certainly a keep, so we will keep it. Unsure if we want to get a Blood Crypt or not here. I think the answer is going to be no, because the Field of Ruin plus all the other cards in our deck hopefully will mean that we find another red mana. So I guess we'll just get a basic here, basic mountain, play the Aether Vial. Guess we can make this a little smaller, huh? Alright, opponent's probably Death Shadow. No, they're blue-white taxes, or black-white taxes or something. Interesting. Alright. Oh, another Aether Vial. We're certainly going to play that over a War Marshal here. So we'll play the other Aether Vial and move on to the opponent. There's a chance that the opponent is playing, what's that card called? Detention. It's the Detention Sphere on a Stick thing. If they're like Esper Hate Bears or something like that, and that could be really good against Aether Vial. And I'm pretty sure the way that card's worded is that it's not all cards, it's only cards your opponents control, because they keep changing how things are templated. But this looks like they're playing Eldrazi with how many... this does not produce colorless. This does. Okay. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Because, like, this, it almost makes me want to Field of Ruin this first, because that means that the opponent doesn't have the colorless card for a Eldrazi, which is at least good to keep in mind. See if our opponent plays one of my favorite cards here, Thraben Inspector. Tide Hollow Sculler. Okay. I mean, it's a good card, but I mean, I guess they should take the matron here, but we certainly are set up to leverage our vials really well with this hand, especially if we draw a land next turn. We can go like matron. So if they don't take matron and we draw a land next turn, we can do matron and then get the card that kills the Tidehollow Scholar and get back whatever card it is. And then they also can't really attack with the Tidehollow Scholar like ever. They will probably try to process the Tidehollow Scholar though, so that's one of the reasons why I want to kill it as quick as possible, is because they can process the card that's under the Tidehollow Scholar. I'm assuming they're playing, what's that card, like Wasteland Strangler, I think it's called. Yeah, so they take that. Okay, it's good take by the opponent. We'll pass the turn. Say yes to this Aether Vial, yes to that one. Cavern of Souls, alright. We probably do want to play the land. So we'll name Goblin with this land. There's not, right now, a reason to cast the War Marshal because we have the Aether Vial on 2. And it means the opponent can't attack. And it also means that they don't have a very good target for their... Oh, Giver Runes. Okay. Okay. And it's worth noting that Giver Runes has 2 toughness. I've already messed that up once. It just got, forgetting what the power and toughness of this card was. I blocked it with a 1/1 or something like that, and was like, oh yeah, sweet, we got it, and did not kill it. So, I mean, yeah, we're gonna violin the War Marshal and double block it, make our opponent activate the Giver of Runes. So, seems good to me. That way we have significantly more draws. Okay, cool. So now that they've activated it, we can kill it if we have a good draw here. We weren't going to pay Echo anyway, so getting the 1/1 is fine. We can also activate this Field of Ruin on... Okay, another Giver of Runes from their opponent, which is fine. And then I guess we'll get rid of that one, which is preventing our opponent from playing... Also, this one can produce colorless mana without taking life. So I guess that's another reason to do it. And I guess we got a black source here. No, we're just got a red source. We're really never going to need double black, but we certainly could need double red. All right. Bloodstained Mire. Okay. So we can play a Slingang Lieutenant here. Or we could play a Krenko here. I don't know which one's better. Let's play the Slingang here. I think Slingang is a little bit less valuable in this matchup and make our opponent fight through that first. What is the opponent vial in? Athalia. Okay, that doesn't really do anything at all in the matchup, so that's good. Unfortunately, the opponent's going to have multiple Giver of Runes here, and this deck isn't really equipped well to fight through double Giver of Runes. It's able to fight through 1, but 2's a little rough. We kind of had that one turn there to actually do something there. Unsure if we should just block here or not. Probably not. Let's just not block. I'm curious exactly how the Wasteland Strangler is worded, because I believe when it enters the battlefield you choose a target, and then when that trigger resolves is when you would process a card. So if we sacrifice the card that's targeting in response, I'm pretty sure we don't have, or they don't have the ability to process a card without a target. So that's interesting, at least. And I think we'll just pass here. I'm assuming the opponent does have a Wasteland Strangler. Now, if the Krenko lives, we're in pretty good shape. If the Krenko doesn't live, I think we might be in a little bit of a rough spot. But yeah, so we'll see how this works. I don't really know. The Wasteland Strangler? No, it's Flicker Wisp. Okay. So what are they going to do? Flicker a Tidehollow Sculler? If they flicker the Tidehollow Sculler, I'm going to be ecstatic because we have a 4 in hand, and we'll be able to actually play both of the cards. If they target a Goblin, we'll just sacrifice it. Yeah, okay, so we'll just... That's fine. Alright, opponent leaves the Vial on 3. Which, I mean, that kind of screams Wasteland Strangler, but there's not much we can do about it. We certainly are going to have to play this Krenko at some point, so... Yep, we'll just take our lumps here. If we could untap with the Krenko, we're probably going to be in good shape, but... If we can't, might be a little rough. So I guess we'll just make our opponent have it. Path the Slingang Lieutenant. Do we want another land? Or do we want to deal a damage to our opponent? Yeah, let's take a land, I guess. See if they have the... Yeah, here's the Wasteland Strangler. Man. Yep. Alright, so what can we draw here that would get us out of this? I guess if we draw Matron or Ringleader, we'll be able to fight through this. Munitions Expert. It doesn't do anything. Alright, we're dead. They have multiple Giver of Runes here. Okay. So in this matchup, what do we like? Chain Whirler seems good because our opponent has a bunch of X1s. There's a chance the Trash Master's okay. There's a chance the Thought Seizes are okay. I think really just the Chain Whirler. This deck, I mean, almost our entire sideboard is meant for combo and control decks. Maybe just a Trash Master to play against Plague Engineer is pretty good. So maybe just like 1-in-1, and we can cut like a Skirk Prospector, which seems pretty bad, and a Pile Driver, which also seems bad. Like, the opponent will just be able to block the Pile Driver for days, especially if they have a Giver of Runes. Alright, so yes, we'd like to play first. Yeah, we can keep this hand. Sounds good to me. Once again, we are going to be looking for some lands, but we have some interaction. The opponent just didn't draw very many lands that game, and we drew a little bit too many without a good payoff, which was kind of our downfall. So let's see if the opponent mulligans here. The opponent... I begin the game with 7 cards in hand. The opponent is deciding how many cards they'd like to begin the game with. Opponent mulligans to 6. All right. Us keeping 7 on the play, mulliganing to 5. All right. This is good again. I think one of the things that we should keep in mind as we're playing this game is whether or not we're the beatdown in this matchup. I'm unsure. I have not played this matchup before. I think we're the control deck. I think a late game favors us, but the exception to that is that our opponent has a couple of cards that are excellent against us, like what's that card? The one that prevents, the one that flickers cards. Actually, that card's not that good against us. It's Eldrazi Displacer. That's the card. Alright, so this is one of the unfortunate things about Goblin War Marshal, is that if you don't actually have a red land in your hand, it doesn't, you can't ever pay Echo for it, and then it's just pretty bad. So we're just going to play out a bear here, and we can use the bear to kill a Giver of Runes or something like that. If the opponent just has a turn to, what's the card? Thought-Knot Seer. The Goblin Crater Maker on the battlefield is certainly better than it in the hand. If we draw a land next turn, we can play War Marshal, play War Chief, which is cool. If we don't draw a land, we can play War Marshal, Violin, Munitions Expert, which is also good if the opponent plays a creature here. So yeah, like a Leon Arbiter, that's fine. Actually, if we draw a land here, I'm totally just going to take them off Eldrazi Temple. No, we drew a Krenko. Okay, so we can Violin... Munitions. I definitely did this in the wrong order. So we can Violin, Munitions Expert to kill this. So that's yes. I wanted to Violin this first and then the other thing, and I just missequenced that because I didn't realize that I couldn't cast it. I did pretty much immediately, but it's alright. No harm, no foul here. We got all the cards on the battlefield that we wanted to this turn. So sure, the opponent can play a Reality or a Thought-Knot Seer here, but we can actually just kill that with this Goblin Crater Maker, which is kind of cool. They'll probably take, I don't know, Krenko here, something like that. They took War Chief, interesting. Okay. Well, I'm certainly not paying Echo here, because I can't. Blood Crypt. Okay. Well, we can take our opponent off Eldrazi Temple here, which seems pretty good. And then we can still use the Goblin Crater Maker, so that's cool. Boom. So kill that, and we get a Ringleader. Okay. So we have a bunch of 4s now. And Magic Online is frozen. And it's unfrozen. Cool. Tide Hollow Sculler. This is, I mean, certainly not amazing, but it's probably fine. Like, they can take one of these things, and then we're just going to get to... Like, Ringleader is probably the card that gets the most value. If they can't kill a Krenko, though, they might have to take a Krenko. So... Depending on what they take here, we might be able to... Okay, so they probably do have a Path to Exile here. I guess that's the way I can read this. Yeah. Oh, they have a Giver of Runes. Okay. They might have a Giver of Runes and a Path to Exile. Okay, we drew a Swamp, so we can actually just play both, which is nice, so we'll just do that. Cool. And we'll pass the turn here. So because we field a ruined Eldrazi Temple, they're still off Reality Smasher. Some of these decks, I mean, they certainly don't play more than like 1 or 2 Reality Smashers, but sometimes they'll play that. And then also, because of that, our opponent can't play Eldrazi Displacer with an activation up, so getting rid of this Eldrazi Temple might have actually done some really good work. Especially since we didn't really have anything else to do with our mana that turn. We could have gotten greedy and waited until our opponent played a Leonin Arbiter, but, I mean, obviously they didn't have it, so... Alright, what is this? Flicker Wisp. That's fine. They can flicker our Vial here to make us use the Krenko now. If they do that, they almost certainly have Path, but I think we're just supposed to play into it. Okay, so yeah, they don't do that. So we'll sacrifice a Goblin, which is fine. Alright, and if their last card in their hand is Path, then, you know, good for them. They kind of got us. But we still have so many draw steps. Dismember? What's happening? No? Okay, I guess they're going to wait. So it must be path. Yeah, they have a path. Alright, do we want to land or do we want to deal damage? I think we just want to land. Alright, so now we can do always no, always yield. Field of Ruin. Alright. So during, I guess, our opponent's draw step, we can Field of Ruin them. Get rid of a caves here. Okay, they drew a Ghost Quarter, which is fine. We still have one more basic in our deck. That's fine too. So best draw is still Matron or Ringleader. Prospector. Alright, I mean that's a creature, so I guess we'll play it. No, I'll draw the Displacer. Come on. Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, sure. So Thought-Knot Seer is just a 4/4 here, and when we kill it, we get to draw a card, so that's nice. Yep, that's fine. So we're just, looking for a top deck here. We're 3 cards deeper than our opponent. Another Cavern of Souls. Alright, so we'll probably keep that in hand just in case the opponent, makes a misplay because of it. But we are starting to fall a little bit behind here, especially if the opponent has more action this turn. I think we're at the point where we do want to just start throwing away a Goblin in front of the Thought-Knot Seer here, if they want to attack. Yeah, so we'll throw a Goblin in front and sacrifice it. Alright, opponent could have a Restoration Angel, which would kind of suck. Auntie's Hovel. Alright, well I guess we'll play that tapped, because if we draw Pashalik, we want to be able to play Pashalik as well as activate it in one turn. So that's a reason to play another land. Sure, Aether Vial's fine. We have really not drawn well off the top this game. Alright, we'll throw another Goblin in front of the Thought-Knot Seer. We can't really throw 4 Goblins in front of the Thought-Knot Seer because of the Giver of Runes, in case that was a line that you guys have been yelling at me for in the thing. They can just give that creature protection from red, and that's not good. Alright. That plays. So we theoretically don't even have to ever really attack our opponent, which is kind of cool. But so like that's 3 more Goblins, so that's 3 more damage. So they currently have, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 7 damage. So if we draw 4 more creatures, we can just kill our opponent, which is kind of cool. Okay. So we're both just, drawing lands off the top over and over again, which is kind of crazy, but yeah, I guess that's what's happening here. Alright, we'll sacrifice this, make a 1/1, yield. Yield. Alright. We go down to 7 here. War Chief, okay. Well, War Chief can kind of attack. Not really, but I guess we'll play it. Oh, we can actually set up for some really weird... Okay, so if we attack with everything now, the opponent isn't going to have a good block on War Chief. They can block, like, here and here, or something like that. If they block War Chief with either of these two creatures, we could potentially get them. So if they block here, sacrifice it, I guess then we just die on the backswing. Yeah, I think we have to wait one more turn. I think we gotta wait one more turn. Yeah, so because the opponent could have gone, so that's block here. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess we probably could have killed our opponent that turn, but ooh, Eldrazi Displacer is really bad for us. Okay, so that was a reason to have attacked last turn, because we probably could have beaten our opponent there. Now, a little bit more unsure. Alright, so we'll block here, and then we'll sacrifice that card. Yeah, now a little bit unsure. All right, so I got to path our Sling Gang here. So we're certainly going to sacrifice this. And then how many other goblins do we want to sacrifice? So we're probably just dead next. Yeah, we probably should have just gone for it last turn. That stinks. So they have 1 activation of the Eldrazi Displacer here. So if we sacrifice, so we're going to take, what, 3 here? So if we sacrifice another goblin, I'm trying to put us in a position where we don't just... I think if we sacrifice another goblin and then the Sling Gang puts us in the best position to not just die to... combat next turn, because that'll put us up to 11. Well, that's 7. Oh, we still needed to sacrifice 1 more. Okay. Oh, no, that's 8. Okay. So, yeah. So this way they can't just give this protection from red and attack us next turn and kill us. So I guess that's good. All right. We do need to draw something. We literally haven't drawn anything in, like, 5 turns. Another War Marshal. That's not something, but okay. So we get 1 more turn because of the way that we did this, I believe. Should get 1 more turn. Okay. Alright, I think we're still going to block here because we're probably not going to pay Echo for this anyway, because we need a specific set of draws anyway in order to win this. Alright, so no, and War Chief, and we're just dead. Yeah, because this just gives anything protection, yeah, and we're just dead. Alright. Alright, everyone, well, I hope you enjoyed our gameplay here. Unfortunately, we ended up 2-1, which is, yeah, that's fine. I mean, if we would have drawn a little bit better against the our last opponent there, we probably would have been fine. But just blanking for that many turns in a row, you know, made it a little bit rough on us. Well, anyway, thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. I'll hopefully have more videos out for you once Hogak gets banned.